Hello. Hello. Oh, I gotcha.
All set, Mike? Okay. Okay. Open up the meeting of the Select Board of March 28th at 5:15. Roll call, Mr. Herron?
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yes.
Mr. Tattlebaum?
Yes.
The chair is here. We're waiting on Mr. Gracie. Please stand for a salute to the flag, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we offer a moment of silence for our service men and women, both here and abroad, and both past and present, and also for our healthcare providers. Please seat. Okay, the Select Board will be going into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron to go into executive session. We will be returning at 6:30 here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, we're adjourned in executive session into room 309. March 28th Select Board meeting. Prior to our going into open session, we saluted the flag and did our moment of silence for our service people and for our healthcare workers, because we knew we had a full agenda tonight. So 6:30, we have a hearing. Open up the hearing for Eversource looking to install a new pole and anchor on Hawthorne Street. Anybody here from Eversource? Oh, that's unusual. Okay, let's see. The pole location is on Hawthorne Street. It is a stub pole on the south side of Hawthorne Street, across from Oliver Street. There is a pole that will be replaced. Since I have the hearing here, does anybody in favor of this? Anybody opposed to this? Okay, we're going to close the hearing. Board member, pleasure.
To approve. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie on the motion. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. Okay. Next item, we have a motor vehicle license, all class. Battleship Riders looking for a new class license, conditional upon the surrender of the current licensee, which is Minuteman Harley Davidson. So, you didn't think you were going to speak? Come on up.
I haven't done this in 2 years.
Hey, you guys are bikers. You should know you're under pressure. So
Alrighty.
you got it. All right. So, you're looking to come into town, huh? All the way from Connecticut, huh?
Yeah, Mass and Connecticut. Well, we have a store in Mass.
Yeah,
too,
terrific. So basically, you're taking over the existing Minuteman dealership.
We are.
And you're going to be renaming it to Battleship Riders?
It'll be Battleship Harley Davidson, but
Battleship Harley
Riders
Davidson.
Yeah.
is our LLC.
Okay, terrific. All right. Anybody in the audience who is in favor of this? Anybody in the audience who's not in favor of it? All right. Close the hearing. Board members, pleasure.
I have a question, that's all.
Sure.
Where is your other place?
We have one in Auburn, Massachusetts.
Auburn, you said?
Yep. And then one in Ellington, Connecticut, one in East Hartford, and then one in Albany, New York.
Small operation, huh?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. All right, congratulations. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving right along. I'm going to open up the hearing for Joe's Original. They're looking for approval of a temporary outdoor table service. Their alteration of premises has been taken off the table, so they're looking for temporary outdoor table service. So I want to open up the hearing. Attorney Kehoe, you got the floor.
Evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Select Board members. For the record, my name is Michael Kehoe, and I'm here this evening on behalf of Servwell Dartmouth LLC, operating as Joe's Original. We have, for the past 2 years now, as a result of COVID, had an outdoor seating area of 60 seats. That won't change. This is a proposal to extend it. Again, the Senate and the state have both passed legislation to extend that provision for an additional year until, I believe, May 1st of 2023. It's just waiting to be signed by the governor with the rest of the budget, which is anticipated it will be signed. So we just want to extend what we have now temporarily, and then in the meantime, we'll be working on that permanent. We saw the town planner, Ms. O'Grady's comments. They were well made, and we intend to make changes to what was proposed for the permanent part of the operation.
Terrific. Okay, board members have any questions? Okay, members of the audience, anybody here who's in favor of this? Anybody in the audience who's not in favor of it? Okay, close the hearing. Board members, pleasure.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. All right, congratulations. All right, moving right along. All right, we have a hearing. I'm going to open up the hearing for the Thirsty Whale. There's a transfer of license. Come on up.
Who's this guy?
Hello, good evening, Board of Selectmen. My name is Nicholas Gomes, and I represent the corporation, Thirsty at the Cove Inc., and I'm here today with the two executives and the manager of the company, the husband and wife team, Mr. Sean St. Aubin and Gina St. Aubin, who, if it's the pleasure of the board, I'd invite to come up to the podium or potentially sit over here.
If they want a business in town, they can come right up to the podium. We'll put them right, no, we'll put them right to the podium. We're family friendly here. All right. So, you're looking to, I guess, purchase the Thirsty Whale and become the new owners?
If I could just do a quick overview.
Sure, go right
for you.
ahead.
So the Aubins are essentially seeking a transfer of the license. It's 24 Cove Road, known as the Thirsty Whale. It's a 2,000 square foot single story building with a basement. It has about 99 capacity, 50 seats, give or take. They're generally open 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. and it's the Thursday through Sunday hours. General DJ, recorded music entertainment, every so often the live entertainment band. Ms. St. Aubin is the manager on duty about 40 hours a week. She's on site working with trained staff, and notably she's been working for the company as the assistant manager capacity as we are seeking this transfer. They are well versed in the day-to-day business operations, and they have increased their control in making this their company, you could say, in how things operate, and it is currently operating smoothly. They've made positive changes, adding more staff for doormen on the heavy nights to make sure everything goes smoothly, as it has. So if you want to just ask any questions for my client specifically,
Sure.
that'd be...
Actually, you guys just want to make a general statement? Just to...
You want to do business?
We look forward to this opportunity in town, and this is a great town to do a business in, and we
Yes,
look forward to taking care of our customers.
Yeah, we're ready to continue making Thirsty Whale a great place to come, eat, have a good time. And do you have anything?
We invite everyone to come down and say
Yes,
hello.
absolutely.
That's how you do it. Well, I can tell you this, being up here and getting a lot of these all the time, I haven't heard one thing from down there at all. So that's the best and most important thing. Okay, anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on this license that is in favor of it? Anybody in the audience who wants to hear against it? All right, going to close the hearing. Board's pleasure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you
Have
very
fun.
much. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. All right. It's a lease. All right, next item we have the sale off. We have a hearing, I'm going to open up the hearing on the sale off. It's the alteration of premises.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Tim Walsh on behalf of the Silversteins and the Sail Loft. Tonight, we're requesting the approval of the alteration of premises. It was filed with the town some time back. Mainly, it's the extension of the outdoor patio. We've added about 500 square feet to that for seasonal use.
Okay.
Happy to answer any other questions that the board may have, but otherwise, Mr. Silverstein looks forward to opening the sail loft. He's done some work to improve the interior, just the facade, and he looks forward to running a successful operation in town like he does with Joe's and his other restaurants, and he wants to continue to work with the neighbors in town to make sure that everything goes smoothly this summer, and you guys have a nice spot down in Peyton Aram for your people to use, for the residents to use.
That's what I like to hear when the word sale off comes out, working with the neighbors smoothly. There isn't a person that hasn't lived in this town for a long time that hasn't been to the sale loft at one point in time in their life. So, board members, Mr. Harron.
What date will it open?
Well, depending on approval here and approval from the ABCC, I think they're ready to open as soon as those things happen. So for this spring or summer.
So that's it. So that's the only other things that are involved right now? The
Right now, yes.
ABCC and our board.
That's from what, and I would, obviously, any of these approvals we get from your board would be pending approvals
Correct.
from, the building department and
Of
everybody
course.
else.
Yep.
But we've communicated with them as recently as today, and I think everything is been
all ready to
communicated
go.
and we're in good shape.
Yeah, I'm looking at the the ticker for the license and everything is complete. The only thing that says inactive on here is our approval. So,
Perfect. That's what I thought we
okay,
understood.
any members of the audience who want to be known to speak in favor of this? Anybody in the audience who wants to not speak in favor of it? All right, I'm going to close the hearing. Board pleasure.
Motion to approve gladly.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Harron. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll
Mr.
see everybody
Silverstein.
down there this summer. Thank you.
Aiming for April 24th, open to the public.
April 2/4?
That's the plan.
Did we hit April 2/4?
Sounds good.
I may have to make
Now
some
you know
calls
where
to
to
the ABCC to get him to hurry up for Mr. Silverstein. Thank you all very much.
Great,
right.
good luck.
Okay, since we have the same, well, we have to do it individually. It's just by requirement, right? It's a hearing, right? Yes. Okay.
The rest aren't.
No. The change of managers? It's not a hearing? Okay. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to take the next three, since we got the same attorney for, and we're going to try to cut down on their billable hours. We have AMC, or the American Multi-Cinema, Inc., we have Texas Roadhouse and Olive Garden. AMC is the change of manager. We'll do that first, because this is the guy we got to see if there's a problem.
Yes, absolutely. Elizabeth Pisano from Upton, Connell, and Devlin on behalf of the applicant, AMC. With me tonight is a proposed manager of record, Troy Robinson. Troy has been with AMC for the past 5 years, since 2018. He's been the general manager, and he is a Massachusetts resident, a U.S. citizen. He's TIP certified, and he's familiar with the rules and regulations relating to the sale of alcohol of this board and the state ABCC.
Okay. The last time I was there, I did see him there, so I'm just, okay. Board pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson to approve the change of managers, seconded by Mr. Harron. On the motion, any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
All right. These we can do easy. So these are just the change of officers. Texas Roadhouse and Olive Garden. Generally, what happens here, the national corporations, they change officers every so often, but they have to hit every city and town in the state of Massachusetts where they have an establishment. We have to go through this. It's just, it's ticky-tack, but it's something that has to be done. Your floor.
Again, Elizabeth Pisano for the record, on behalf of Texas Roadhouse Holdings. This is just a change of officers. We are seeking to add Donna Epps as director and remove Doug Thompson as the COO without any replacement. There are no operational changes to the restaurant, just this officer change.
Okay. For the Texas Roadhouse, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Harron, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None unanimous. Okay, and same thing with
Again.
Olive Garden.
Yes, Elizabeth Pisano for the record. GMRI Inc., DBA The Olive Garden. Again, just an officer change. We have Lindsay Corin replacing Joseph Kern as vice president and secretary, and Angela Simmons has replaced William White as director, president, and treasurer. And there are no operational changes to the restaurant.
Okay. Board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Harron. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Have a good night.
Okay. All right. 6:47, oh, getting closer to time. Country Club in New Bedford, we have a change of Sunday hours. Mr. Braga.
We'd just like to change the hours till 10 o'clock, just
From?
on Sunday,
From 10 o'clock
from 12 o'clock.
to
So
10.
you're moving 2 hours early to accommodate a brunch.
Accommodate beverage cart and also, an
Okay.
occasional brunch.
Okay, all right. Board members, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr.
Second.
Tattlebaum, seconded by Mr. Mickelson. On the motion, any questions?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, none unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. One-day event, Cultural Center. Ms. Santos.
Pauline Santos, President, Dartmouth Cultural Center. We would like a one-evening liquor license for April 1st, from 5 to 7. We're serving wine to the public and the artists that are at the center.
So is this coming Friday?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Board members, any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Herron. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think it's just worth mentioning the kind of work that's been done, unique work that the Cultural Center does, the volunteer work, all the people put their hours in, and the end result is something very special. It took a building that was empty and turned into something special, and it's a great asset to the town, all the people do the work they do there.
Thank you. We're really proud, and what's happening in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's a great experience to walk in there.
It is. It
Thank you.
is.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Once in a while.
Okay. Don't forget that it's this Friday from 5 to 7?
5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Yeah,
There you
great
go.
exhibit.
All right.
Okay.
Can't afford any of the artwork, but it's great.
All right, next item on the agenda, we have the change of officers and directors for the Portuguese American Social Club.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is new to me. I've been a past president there for like 12 years, but this is the first time I've ever had to come here to do this. But the only change is myself. David Fells is leaving, and I'm going to take his place. Everybody else is all the same.
Okay, as the president of the club?
President, yes.
Okay, all right. No, the only reason why we do this is we want to make sure we see, it's a connection to the community. That's, you see us, we see you.
Yeah.
That type of thing, so. And the millions of people at home get to see you also. So.
Lucky them.
Okay.
He didn't introduce himself.
Yeah, I know he didn't, but we have to know. So the new president of the Portuguese American Social Club will be?
Raymond Lake.
Thank you.
Okay.
You got to get it.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Herron,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, none, unanimous.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you, Mr. Lake. 6:53 at 7:09. Somewhere at 6:53. We have a joint meeting with the Park Board regarding the Community Center Feasibility Study. You're up.
Giddy up.
Over here?
Oh, yeah.
There's only 4 seats, there's 5 of us, I'll sit back here as the...
You get the one with the biggest mouth, so they'll hear you over there, so that's for sure.
I'll just keep quiet.
Yes.
Ladies.
Joe, you need a mic.
He hasn't used the mic in 20 years.
This seat's soft, too. I'm fragile.
Hey, just slide over.
Okay,
Put Joe right
just
up
for the people at home, we have a joint meeting with the Park Board regarding the feasibility study for the community center. We're going to be presenting images. It'll be on your screen. DCTV will be showing it. And the presenter for this, it will be?
Joel Bargman.
Okay. And Joel, you're with?
BH+A and architecture firm.
Okay, great. All right. You want to start it off, or you just want to just go right into it?
Yes, I'll give a little background, and Joel will go into it. But we had contracted, due to COVID, it's been a little protracted, but we had contracted to do a feasibility study. Originally, it was for a community center, so that you'll see a lot of the information in here is based on a community center, which was on a larger scope. So, but then Joel will get into it at the end that we've pared it down to a recreation center. So that we've got a lot of input from the public. We've had a lot of internal meetings internally with the Post Park Board. The Select Board's been kept up to date. Cody and myself and our internal team, which is Tim Lancaster, our Director of Parks, our Planning Director. So a number of entities were involved in this, and this is the culmination of that. So Joel's going to give you an overview, and you've seen the entire feasibility study in your packet, which is quite large.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go quickly. I haven't gotten complaints when it's too short. The introductions was great from Sean. As you know, we were retained, and immediately the state went into COVID shutdown. So we were prohibited from really going into the buildings, but between Sean and Cody and our team, we decided to proceed with a survey that would reach out to the folks that couldn't come to public meetings and we couldn't go to public meetings. So I'm going to discuss that survey result. I'm going to talk about how that led to a program and what our findings were. Feasibility study is a lot of different steps, but what we really were looking for is a community center needed and desired? And if it is, what would go in it? How large would it be? Where could it be located? What would the cost be, and how could you implement it? So those 5 key steps. As I mentioned, we did a survey. It was really benefited from people being at home because we got over 896 responses. The survey was created by a national recreation survey firm out of Denver, Ballard King, and came up with a series of questions. It's primarily, if it's online, you have the chance for people outside of Dartmouth to respond, but it was highly responded by 93% residents. The sort of interesting takeaway from that survey was 77% of the folks that are responded participate in programs offered by the town. That's a pretty high rate. Part of the survey, this is again before we got to public outreach, asked questions about different facilities, and of these facilities, the 2 that were most highly rated were, to be guessed, the gym, and then indoor walking track was specifically mentioned, but also outdoor walking was suggested, and in many of the comments, walking and physical exercise was a key denominator. So you'll see how we tried to incorporate that into the project. So the key findings were sort of those athletic, and as Sean had mentioned, we didn't get a lot of responses on the community center side, which would be primarily the senior center. And I'll get to that a little bit more, but what we really found when we reached out, a year after we started, we were finally able to get to the senior center, go through the building, meet with seniors, and they're quite happy with the facility, with the exception of things like improving the kitchen, improving the delivery of Meals on Wheels, and some other programs, but they're quite happy with the facility and really didn't want to pursue incorporating those types of programs into a community center. It's interesting. There we go. Last summer, after the results of the survey were in, we had a public meeting. That was the first time the public was able to get into this room. It was in July. We got a lot of feedback, particularly reinforcing what the survey had found was that recreation was very highly desired as a program, as a activity that wasn't as well served as it could be because of the loss of gym space and the absence of gym space. And then joining the senior center and the rec was not a priority of the attendees. So the common themes that you read about in the report are, as I mentioned, indoor track, indoor basketball. But I think I want to mention this, and I'll show you how we accommodated this in the study. A lot of people were concerned about clearing beautiful sites, taking sites that were contributed to the beauty of the community and raising them and putting up a large facility. So that became a key criteria in looking at sites. And then there was, the ubiquitous comments that sometimes cancel themselves out, the group of folks that don't want to spend money and feel that the facility is not needed. We've tried to address that against those that think that this facility is a great addition to the community and folks that are willing to pay for it. So you try to balance those different equations out. We came up with 3 major programs: the gym space, The operational spaces that support the facility, you need a little control point, an office for the general manager, mechanical rooms, restrooms, and then some multi-purpose spaces. So this isn't just a rec center for kids, but it's a rec center where seniors can go, where adults can go. It's a center for all ages without being too large or too overblown. When I say a gym, it's not just basketball. Gyms are great for high school teams looking for an indoor space in the winter. Pickleball is the largest growing sport in America and hugely popular with adults and seniors. In Andover, they use their facility for indoor table tennis. We have kids programs. Kids that are disabled can use the gym. So that it's clearly for, I'm not sure why we're having, clearly for basketball, but it accommodates a lot of other uses and a lot of other age groups. With the community, we looked at different sized gyms. We really came to the conclusion that the 3-court gym would be the most successful and the most demand for Dartmouth, because if you look at the amount of kids and the boys and the girls that use facilities, once you have 2 courts, you can have after-school boys, after-school girls, and you can get throughput in your facility while still having an adult program or a little kids program. So the whole goal of this facility is to serve a bunch of age groups, walls that are flexible, that can make it into 6 smaller spaces, 3 spaces, however many spaces you want. You can also have that big room open for a town meeting, school dance, graduation, any sort of other activities. I mentioned other programs. There are 2 multi-purpose rooms. They can be designed for lectures, for arts and crafts, for exercise. We aren't doing another room like this. We're not doing locker rooms. We're not doing a fitness program that would compete with the private sector. It's really a very simple facility. With Sean and Rec Department and the community, we went through a series of 7 different schemes. We ended up with, as I mentioned, a very simple scheme of a 3-court gym supported by a program room and a program room at either end, and you can see in the middle locker rooms, mechanical rooms. So it's a very simple, straightforward program. The reason there's so many restrooms, is that you may have 500 people in here on a Saturday morning when there's 3 kids programs going on, and then adults standing on the track above watching the kids practice or watching a tournament game. You could have 1,000 people on that floor for an indoor town meeting should you want to. Second floor has a walking track. It's really a beautiful track in its length. It's 300 feet long in its long side, so great for viewing of what's going on in the facility and great for walking. It's functional. It's a very simple, sort of almost like a factory type, not overdone structure, very simple outdoor structure, nothing fancy, but not so utilitarian that the town won't be proud of what happens. We looked at the site, as I mentioned, about where the project could be located. We looked finally at 4 sites. One was Reed Road, sort of on the north end above Route 6, the Dartmouth COA, the existing Council on Aging site, and then 2 sites on Russell's Mills Road, 247, and the Dartmouth Youth Activities Association site. So this is that site, and here, and there's an existing parking lot in the middle that is being expanded. But the beauty of this site is you have site utilities in place. There's some parking that we have to provide additional, but that parking is synergistic between the baseball fields and the gym facility. I had to include that picture. It's so great. I hope he's watching tonight. So the costs, we were really trying to keep the project down below $10 million, but everyone's seen what's happened with costs the last year. We've had 20% escalation in the construction industry. We are pricing this based on today's numbers. The hope is that the economy will level out and some of this inflation will come down. But that basic facility is almost $12 million of construction. But when you put the total project cost in for other costs, and we'll show you what those are, it rounds out to about a $15 million project. So it's no doubt more than we were looking for. Those other project costs to the building. Now, we priced out the separate elements, program rooms, adding the track, adding the team rooms. We sort of, as a group, decided the team rooms really aren't that necessary. You can, for a halftime event for the teams during a tournament, they can actually use the program rooms for their halftime pep talk. So, given the cost, what the thought was to take another year to take the feasibility study, progress it into final design, refine the design, hope the pricing can be 24 a completed project. That would be sort of the quickest timeline. So I don't think the request is to jump into the full funding of a project, but the thought was, can the project go to the next step of design so that it can be requirements that were found in the survey and the public meetings. So thank you very much.
Great job.
We do lease the property to a private organization.
Not that part. Not that part.
No, not that part,
Yeah.
right, but not that part, but there is, so I believe at some point in time, we would need to discuss with them a cohabitation agreement, per se, with, you know.
Soon-to-be demolished police department, the old 249 Russell Mills Road. The site actually connects to one another. There's an access point. There's a very large oak tree that's there, and there's some wet uplands that you can access. So it works out well because future growth, that building gets torn down. Hopefully, the town turns that into.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. Some of you were at the meeting in the summer that he mentioned, and a few good points came out of that. Mr. Harron was there. I think Mr. Tettelbaum might have been there. But for those of you that couldn't make that meeting, one of the points we had is consolidate all our facilities into a location that's meant to do what we do. The third wheel of that is obviously, as you all know, we run recreation programming in the summertime. We also run it in the off season using those buildings inside. But in the summertime, you know, I mentioned it to the folks who were at the meeting of the town. You notice we've pulled it out of there because it's not, you just can't do that. You can't have 35 kids in an open area with no place to shelter them. So you have some ability to use parking, but I'm not sure what the plans are, and I haven't heard of any real good plan for the old police station site at this time. That would be an excellent secondary access to this location from the south side. And in the interim, to assist them, we've painted lines on every court, pretty much we have in the park system, to accommodate pickleball temporarily for these folks. So much so that they actually route the ball inside in the wintertime. Well, this would lend perfectly to that because the kids will be in school. This you know, it's a multi-use, multi-age facility for sure. So don't let anyone tell you different. And I mean, I think those are the points I'd like to make. That maybe the board, and the board supports all of those, I believe. So.
In the building, somebody's there with them, opposed to being out and about. I mean, I know like they're independents, but I'd like to kind of keep an eye on them. You know, I mean, this day and age, we don't want people just wandering aimlessly about walking. We have adults, young adults, 18 to 25, play basketball. We anticipate them being there, having their leagues after 9 o'clock at night, playing ball. You know, but we really got to start thinking about those kids when they get up to that next age. If we want them to stay in this town, this is long overdue. We've gone to other communities and looked at some of their buildings. I think the closest thing we had to this was the Dome back in the 90s, I think.
Where St. Anne's is, you know, currently. But I think part of the problem that we have as a community is that we rely too heavily on private groups for doing the recreation, and we've gotten
spoiled.
I was going to say lazy, you know, in doing it ourselves. And I've said on many occasions, we should be ashamed as a community that we don't do this type of service for our entire residential spectrum. And this is something that is needed on so many levels. And I think it's recently there's been more of an appetite to do this. And I think this is really kind of the first time that we've had any kind of an in-depth study done, so that we can see what type of programs we need, what type of programs can be offered, what type of programs the town can offer its citizens. So other than doable. Mr. Tattlebaum, you got a
Thanks. This is a tremendously exciting project. And it's also, I think it's going to, the very important leadership role I think our board has to spend in getting this, trying to get it done, because this is not just the Parks and Recreation. It's going to go across almost every committee and board in town. And I think it's up to us to provide the leadership, not make the decision. And I think it's a little more intricate than what we have here, which is, it's like a barn compared to the police department. And that indication of where costs have gone. But to me, there's a process. But I do realize the one thing, the project manager and who we pick is, without any question, the most important choice we have. That's the person who's on the job day after day, overseeing the project. And there's a lot out there that's up to us to provide the leadership to get this done. Thank you.
Mr. Mickelson?
Thanks, Dave. Dave and I were on the committee for the police station, and it's a lot of work, a huge commitment, but we made some really good, a building like this now. You had 1,000 people or so that answered the questionnaire, as opposed to another group that had maybe spectacular. Pickleball, like you mentioned, the kids are in school in the dead of winter and there's 15 inches of snow on the ground. They can play pickleball. So there's a demand for it. There's a huge, huge demand. I don't want to get into any more. I'm just really so excited, and I think once
Be posted online for everyone to look into. Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted.
Was there an answer?
Oh, yes, it will be posted.
Okay.
Yes. Once the board votes to approve it, then we'll post it online.
Great. All right.
Dartmouth does not really have a village center. We have Paid Narram, which is beautiful, but we have Route 6. So this is an opportunity not only to have a great recreation center, but with all the recreation that's there, with some of the commercial development that's already there, it could be a nice village center for people to congregate on. And that's very important. But also this past year, we've seen that, we don't have really a central part of town for people to gather when there's an emergency like COVID, where we need a vaccination clinic, when there's a town meeting, if we need space for a town meeting. So that the facility as proposed would be very well utilized, almost on a daily basis. So there's a lot that goes along with it, just creating this in this part of town. And I think, you saw almost 900 respondents to an online survey is unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen that many in such for a community this size. So, it's important to keep that in mind. And when you talk about costs, we go back to, the town has dedicated almost $6 million to get up to 2024. Projects that are shovel ready, not unlike the Causeway. When funding becomes available, then, the town can be ready to act on that. So that's one thing that we're looking at, but also, there's other ways to fund projects like this that other communities have done, have gotten creative. So we would certainly look to do that. So I just wanted to add that in addition to what's been said tonight.
Okay, terrific. Mr. Hare?
Are we voting to fund something tonight?
No.
No, okay.
We're voting to accept the feasibility study.
Oh, that's fine.
So I just
That's the most important thing. So.
And if you keep in mind that property that we're talking about building, many years ago, was purchased.
All right.
A quick comment, if I may. Just the feasibility study itself is incredibly loaded with information that this town can use for years going forward. We have a master plan coming forward. We have a harbor plan already in place, and the information in there about this.
Yeah, and the idea for having solar panels on the roof is built into it as well.
Okay.
And Sean just mentioned something I forgot to mention. These facilities are also used as shelters when climate problems, storms or power outages. They can be cool building, and then there's cooling systems built in, because to use it for camp in the summer, you really need to cool it, but it makes it an excellent place if there's a power outage and people need a cooling shelter in the summertime or heating shelter in the wintertime.
Do you envision that with natural gas or something?
Probably add before we get too far ahead. I mean, these are all good topics, but they're all topics that are done in the design phase.
Way down the
which
road.
we're not there yet. And since he did raise it, Jim and I had the opportunity to go visit a building a couple of years ago that actually had solar panels on the roof, and it was a gymnasium, and that particular location actually ran, the solar panels on the roof of that building ran that building.
Right.
And actually it ran another building that was located elsewhere in the community, and actually powered that building. So while solar
Costs more up front. It does add even more to the cost, but the end result is down the road is so much more return.
But I think all those type of items all have to be worked out once we decide to move forward with the design, which would then lead you to a final number. Because right now, he's generated conceptual numbers basically off of what we could give him, to give us the estimate. But it's our actual design.
Online for the public to see.
Do we know the next step, or whatever the next step is?
The next step would be...
The next step would come back to present funding options for the design. So we would do that as part of planning for the next year's budget, FY23.
Okay, so that's, okay.
So that's coming up.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the feasibility study as presented to this evening.
Got it.
Great.
Thank you.
On to the next
one.
step.
Step one.
Pause for...
I'm going to be here
Pause for
forever
15
tonight.
seconds here. Business is the Apotho Host Community Agreement approval. Mr. McGinnis, and I guess representatives of Apotho Therapeutics.
For marijuana growing, a cultivation and manufacturing facility. Many of you know it as the old tennis club on Route 6. So we've worked internally. Cody Haddad, our Director of Development, has worked very closely with Apotho and their representatives, as well as our internal team, to thoroughly vet their proposal, work closely with them to get them moving forward. And now this is the culmination of that event where they're going to present what their plan is for the facility, and we have the host community agreement in draft form for the board to review and vote on.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you, members of the Select Board. My name is Matthew Medeiros. I'm the president of Apotho Therapeutics. With me is Andrew. Conducted in compliance with 935 CMR 500 for the adult use of marijuana by the Cannabis Control Commission. We previously held a community outreach meeting on January 20th of 2022. Since the very beginning, been really focused on researching and understanding not only the science of cannabis, but also creating an elegant culture of diversity in not only who we hire, but also the communities that we impact. 2022, we, since we are not in the marijuana overlay district, we didn't go through the special permit specific process with the planning board. Instead, we went through the variance process. There's right now no additional requirements from the local that had a previous site plan review approved on July 12th of 2021. We are in compliance with the mandated 500 buffer zone from any existing public or private college, daycare, library, or any area where children commonly congregate. And essentially, it is not within 4,000 feet of any RMD that is located in the town of Dartmouth. That is specific to medical entities. But as you can see, we're right on Route 6, right in Dartmouth. And essentially, with local zoning compliance, we're in the general business district / aquifer protection district, which required a site plan review, which was previously approved. Again, the zoning variance was granted in June 10th of 2020 with another extension on May 19th of 2021. The lot has been specifically designed to meet all lot sizes, overage, heights, frontages, or any dimensional requirements. And there will be outdoor fencing around the facility, especially where we're receiving deliveries. I'll actually show you that in a minute. So that way everything can be protective, and of course the fencing itself will be non-reflective, more of an earth tone cover such as black or dark green as well. This is the proposed site plan review that was, again, the civil plans that was previously approved. As you can see on the right-hand corner there, no, there is a... On the right-hand corner there, you can see on the right hand of the building, there's a secure entryway that's big enough for a fire truck to actually pull in compliance with the fire department as well. That is a gated area, essentially, so all of our deliveries can be secure. and that will have barbed wire on the top. And as you can see, there is a parking lot with around, I believe, 29 spaces, which is over the amount of parking required, 35 spaces, excuse me, that is over the compliance for that specific area for the facility overall. With every municipality we operate in, it's we tend to nip this right away. It's for odor mitigation. I know a lot of concerns municipalities typically have is, what is the odor produced by the building, not only what the operation looks like. Overall, we have different levels of odor mitigation that we're going to be implementing in this building. The first aspect is to foam seal it, essentially using spray foam on the interior of the building, where any type of crack or crevice could allow cannabis to, go outside the facility. We're going to be patching that up. It also resists against bacterial mold buildup overall, and it creates a air seal or a conditioned space, not only when we're building inside the building, so we make sure everything not only is sealed when we build inside, but also if anything does get outside our interior building, it will not go outside the actual walls of the building. And I'll show you the plans in a second. Also in our dry and cure areas, which is where the product will be mostly making these cannabinoids and terpenes that give off these flavors and odors, there will be special mitigations such as element air systems that are going to reduce odor and smells by 99% overall, and of course bacteria and mold buildups. Overall, the security is complying with the CCC 934 CMR regulations. Essentially, this is 24/7 coverage with both during operational hours with actual security personnel, and also cameras covering every exterior and interior inch of the building overall, especially for waste disposal areas. There will also be multiple ID verification points, especially inside the building. You can't enter without first buzzing in the building, but of course checking the verified IDs. You have to, for any visitors, it has to be scheduled for the building. No one can just knock on the door and come on right on in the facility. And overall, as I mentioned previously, there is a strong emphasis with the Cannabis Control Commission on secure delivery and storage areas that will be considered limited access areas, so not every single employee can go in the secure delivery or vaulted areas, so there will be on an overage of lockdown for those two areas. As you can see here is the building plans of the facility. We did, again, previously complete a traffic study that we plan on hiring 50 employees, which I'll go into the breakdown that on the next slide. But there will be no increased traffic overall. This building will include a totality of 12 different flower rooms, 2 vegetation rooms, 2 dry rooms, 1 cure room, 2 research and development rooms, which is very uncommon in current cannabis facilities currently right now. The purpose of that is to ensure the best high quality product before we put it at scale in a large flower room. And essentially, as you saw before, all of these areas will be locked with limited access areas and key fob access to these doors, so that way no one can walk in and out of the building as they please. Currently, our staffing plan consists of around 50 employees at a minimum. Essentially, the focus of the facility is not only pertaining to the boutique flower aspect for consumers in the industry, but also creating scientific advancements in the horticulture space that has yet to be truly seen in the cannabis space, and that's focused on production in terms of volume, but also efficiency in terms of timetables for actually making the production, and of course quality of the product. We will also be, and especially talking to a lot of people in the industry, especially on the retail level, we will be launching B2B services to licensed facilities in the MA cannabis industry to ensure, essentially product swaps or security of overall product transfers between our facility to their either retail or other cultivation facility overall. And as you can see here, this is a table breakdown of what our staff is currently going to look like in the facility. The community impacts and benefits to the town. Overall, we plan on hiring 10% of our workforce at a minimum from the town of Dartmouth. We would like to employ locally and also prioritize losing local vendors and wages and payments, of course. We plan on giving a $15,000 annual contribution to the following departments mentioned as a totality each year. This can be given to recreation, health and human services, public safety, and also with donations to the marijuana and drug education programs as well. Overall, when we are building this facility, of course the facility already comes with solar panels overall, so that does help in the energy costs for operations. However, when we are building it, we try to incorporate sustainable practices and technologies, of course using safe practices for waste management and water conservation overall, especially in the Aquifer District. And overall, we plan to run a relatively low emissions facility with that solar panel, but an efficient building. Currently, you see right how this is our forecasted revenue in terms of gross sales for 2023 to 2026. Of course, with the host community agreement, there is a 3% community impact fee that is on gross sales that will be going to the town of Dartmouth on an annual basis, as well as the annual contributions that we will be providing, $200,000 each year to the town of Dartmouth. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see the totality of all of the benefits that is going to be forecasted for the town between 2023 and 2026. I'd like to take this opportunity for any questions with the select board or anyone in the current room now, if they have any questions.
Just one very quick question that
Absolutely.
comes to is you were going through the presentation. Your construction plan, looking at the building, what part of the building on the premises is that? Because I'm looking at two separate buildings under the compliance plan versus the construction plan. So which, is it the larger portion and then the rest is going to be the facility, the rooms and whatever?
Yeah, essentially this, as you can see, the tennis court is kind of built like a U shape. Essentially that right-hand side of the facility is going to be the first one that's going to be constructed, and of course the bottom of the facility as well. So that's where all the flower rooms are, that's where all of the secure delivery will be with that back road, and the left-hand side is the, you know, of course, other portion of the facility. Does that answer?
So that construction plan is this entire, or is it just one of these?
Correct. Yep, it's both of those.
It's the entire, okay. Because what's confusing me is this doesn't have a line going across the back.
Yep.
Where that one does. So I
Yes.
was,
Yep.
okay, so I'm kind of a visual person in this way, so, okay, got it. Okay, that was my question.
So there's no additions to the tennis court, using all the facility as it is?
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
Question, you operate retail in Plainville?
Correct.
Yes.
And how long you been there?
Year and a half.
Year and a half, so you had projections there? How are the projections going?
For 2021, we hit our projections with the town of Plainville.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yep.
I didn't hear you.
That's okay. With 2021, we actually hit our projections with the town of Plainville, and we're expected to increase them by around 10 to 15% for 2022.
So you're ahead of projection?
Correct. As 2022, currently, right
And
now.
you
Yes.
went out the same 5 years as you did here for?
Correct.
So you expect the end of 5 years is going to be ahead of what you were?
Correct.
What is the sales reporting procedure in terms of, because it has a dramatic effect on how the town gets it. You're a private company.
Yes.
So what is, and I assume the state has regulation how you report sales?
Excellent question.
Could you elaborate on that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the state has two different compliance into that aspect. The first, the state has a software called Metric. Every single sale or every single flake of cannabis that's produced, every single sale that we do as a company is tracked in real time. And we essentially, in terms of the agreement, when we are paying the town, we provide the reports specifically to what was produced and what was sold, and everything has to run through that state-run software. The secondary aspect is we match that up into our internal software that does the exact same thing. So not only does the state software have to match, our internal software has to match. So every single time we make a payment to the town, we provide those reports.
In your 4C, you're going to be running a grow facility versus retail. In the experience, it's obviously a different operation.
Yep.
You require different, running a business in a much different way. You bring in different people to be able to do that, I take it?
Yes, exactly. Correct.
For production versus sales?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Herron, then Mr. Gracie.
You just mentioned you had a facility in Plainfield. So basically, this grow facility here could supply that facility.
Correct.
And if the facility you choose to build out in front of the tennis court does not go through, the town could lose 3%, correct, on our potential revenue?
Correct.
Yeah, so there's an incentive for the town of Dartmouth to help you move forward with that other host agreement so we can get that 3% and not see it go to another town, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Gracie?
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys could build us a recreation center.
With the marijuana or without it?
This is not recreational.
No, let's just stick, let's just stick with the subject because I know somebody got in trouble somewhere because it was doing some other things, something similar to that, so we're not gonna even go there. Okay. All right, any other board members have any other questions? Okay, Mrs. McGinnis
There
or
was
Mr.
the draft host community agreement in the packet that we reviewed. There's one minor change. There was some confusion on one sentence. Cody, do you want to come up and just kind of... And we have the file in the packet, and he can explain where the change was.
Give him hell, Cody.
Good evening. So the one change is under section 1B at the bottom under the force majeure clause. We have added a few additional events, so it now reads fire, flood, earthquake, and other acts of God, civil unrest, insurrection, military conflict, riots, sabotage. In here matches the draft provided to you.
Okay, so my biggest question is, does this agreement meet all requirements from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts?
It does. So we went through a vetting process. We've worked through with the Cannabis Control Commission. This is quite an advantageous agreement for the town and for Apotho Therapeutics.
So no matter what transpires here today, we're good with the Commonwealth.
Yep, this agreement's been looked at by our council, and they've signed off on it, that this is a good agreement. And just to highlight a few of the items, so as Matthew stated, we would receive 3% of their gross sales. Those applications are due tomorrow, and we'll go through the review process.
And if they're reviewed tomorrow, what do you think for a timeline going forward for acceptance?
The applications won't be reviewed tomorrow. They're due tomorrow, and we'll start to review them, so within the next few months.
2 months or 3 months?
A few months. I can't give a definitive timeline.
It's hard to say, to Cody's point. In this process, we've done this a few times. We've gotten varying levels of responses. Some are very detailed and have a lot of information. Some are lacking. So it does take some effort to vet them and review them internally and then meet with the applicants to.
And like I said, this is an advantageous agreement for both the town and for the applicant.
So you looked at some other production grow facilities as
We did. We looked at those host community agreements and modeled ours after theirs.
And they were comparable in projections in terms of size, or can?
Yeah, we tried to look at comparable operations that were being presented, and this is how we came up with the agreement in place.
To it. Not just, this is only the beginning.
Good luck.
All right. So, okay, further, no more questions. What's the board's pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion that the town of Dartmouth and Apotho Therapeutics Dartmouth, Inc. honor a host community agreement.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous.
Okay.
Yes, very good. Good job, guys.
Okay. Unbelievable volume.
All right, let's see.
How's it sound?
We can talk and sign at the same time. It's like chewing gum and walking. Next item on the agenda, we have the Mendes Montero House.
Time ago, we came before the town, probably a little over 4 years ago, asking for some CPC funding to create a program and a development for the disabled elderly tenants and residents of the town of Dartmouth.
There's two, right?
We partnered up with the Department of Mental Health on a piece of land that the Housing Authority owns. We have had some extremely positive support from everyone. CPC was able to see the project, and we continue to go forward. We are also now in the process of waiting to hear from the DHCD One Stop program to see if we've gotten our full funding. Just a little while ago, the Dartmouth Housing Authority received a MassWorks grant for $275,000. That will be for the site work, and we are pretty much shovel-ready. The Dartmouth Housing Authority has matched those funds up to $1 million totally to get the site completed. One of the reasons why they have such a vested interest in this is that the site preparation for it is going to make a beautiful piece of land that all of our tenants can use. We have some Waterix independent units on the other side of the building. The entire building will be staffed 24/7 with DMH staffing, with DH staffing. They will also have access to the programs that we have at the Dartmouth Housing Authority, which includes the Council on Aging, the Meals on Wheels plan, we have a gardening plan, so we have a lot of activity. You've heard tonight how much prices have gone up, and they've gone up substantially. With all that's said and done, supportive housing, you can't get any more permanent supportive housing than housing with the Department of Mental Health. We're asking the town, we know that you will be getting 4 increments of $1.4 million through ARPA funding over, I think you said, by 2024. We are asking the town to continue supporting us, supporting Partners in Housing, because that's who I'm speaking for on behalf this evening, so that we can make this dream come true. It is so needed. Again, like I said, even my own tenants, back in the day, you didn't have elderly people who had disabilities. You had elderly people who were growing old. Now we have maybe 70% of our tenants are elderly with disabilities. And it ranges from depression to being isolated, particularly after COVID. And I know we keep blaming COVID, but I'm going to tell you something. It has had a real impact on our tenants. They've become hoarders. They've become depressed. They don't take their medication. And they don't have anyone to turn to. So I ask you to please keep us in mind when you start to spend your ARPA money. What we would need would be just a letter of commitment from the town with a dollar figure so that we can put that into our portfolio. I know that some of you were there for when the Look First.
Okay.
That's going to be doing the utilities and start clearing up all of that brush so that we can get it situated. We are at, I want to say 75 or 85% with our design because we had to have that for funding. So, I mean, we're getting there. We're closer than we...
Verification from Bristol County about how they're going to dispense the money. Some has been dispensed directly to us. The county also has a large portion of that. They haven't been 100% clear about what portion they're taking for county-wide projects, so we're trying to get that so we can see what we would have for a balance. But we're also generating a list of fundable projects, whether through ARPA or through capital, that we can present to the board as part of our budgeting process for FY23. So we'll be presenting that within the next month of some options once we get that clarity. We may not have complete clarity from Bristol County, but we'll certainly have a list of fundable projects that will demonstrate either through ARPA or capital or other methods.
That's wonderful. I know that there are several housing authorities who are getting money from their towns and their cities, so I'd like to go back and say yes. So did our town.
Good.
So.
All right, so, Mr. Herron.
Yes.
As our representative to the
I
Bristol
will be.
County, whatever you want to call it over there, will you stress to them that we need to get them off their duff and find out what the hell they're going to do?
Initially, I talked to them.
Basically, how this is going to be set
I'll
up.
follow up on that for you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that piece, and then with what's coming up, with what staff is doing, we'll figure out, I mean, it's nice to have this money. It's just figure out where it's going to go.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's going to be some pieces that are going to get something, some are not going to get anything, but we're going to do our best to do what we can, even if we have to find, other methods. So that's why he's here. So.
That's all we can ask. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. I was told by a member of the Veterans Advisory Board that Mr. Cass was unable to be here tonight, but I'd like to move ahead with this appointment. So we have an appointment to the Veterans Advisory Board of Alan Cass of Smith Neck Road. Mr. Cass is a Marine Corps combat veteran of the Vietnam War, and he would be extremely helpful to the board. So, board's pleasure.
Motion to appoint
Second.
Mr. Cass.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, none unanimous. I think we can skip this next one. Oh, let's not. Okay. We have before us the town clerk regarding the election warrant.
1 week.
And so I'm hoping that you can review it and approve it, and I will be posting it tomorrow.
Okay. Just the one question that I have been getting, that I've been sending your way, is when will a sample ballot be ready for people to look at?
It is online. And it
Beautiful.
has been for a number of days, and we also have them on the bulletin board in Town Hall for anybody who is unable to access it online.
Marvelous. So everybody out there, it's online.
Absentee voting, people can vote absentee in person in my office until noontime on Monday. We're here Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. For people who are not going to be available on the 5th, it's another option. As well as people who have requested an absentee ballot through the mail. They can request those through Friday, but we do suggest sooner rather than later because they must be back to us by 8 p.m. on Tuesday the 5th. We must have them in hand. They can deliver them, they can come through the mail, they can go in the silver drop box, so there's no good reason why people aren't getting out there to vote.
The best suggestion for absentee ballots, instead of sending it return mail, is just to swing by Town Hall and drop it off in the silver box.
Correct. Either silver box, even the one for the library, lots more absentee ballot applications, so people are making that effort if they're not going to be here or for whatever reason can't come out and vote. So I probably would say about right now we probably have 3 times as many absentee ballots as we've seen in the past.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity.
Yes.
The past couple elections, mail-in ballots were allowed. How did that work out?
Mail-in ballots are fantastic. I think that people took more advantage of them, and I think we'll see more about those pieces. And there are other states that have been leaders in doing either all mail-in or a lot of mail-in. So I think we're going to see more of that here, and it just gives people more of an opportunity to vote.
So mail-in voting works, it's solid, and it's honest.
So that's what the data suggests for other towns. In addition, there was no proven fraud for the last elections, certainly not in Dartmouth. There was not a question, but nowhere in Massachusetts. It's just not happening. The data does not support that, regardless of what we're hearing from the media.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
thank you for your time.
Cameras. The town also received a grant from the state. Part of that grant requires a memorandum of agreement with the police union in regard to the body-worn cameras, so this is that agreement.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement and to allow Mr. McInnes to sign on behalf of the...
I think it's worth mentioning,
Mr.
Chairman, that we sat with the chief. He expressed to us that he's got incredible support from the veterans of the department, of the new officers of the department, and the acceptance was there, and the chief is 1,000% support of this program, and he's made it happen. Did all the research and cost analysis, and
All right, old business, COVID, anything?
No new updates.
Bliss Corner, anything?
No new updates.
Lake Nokichoke, anything?
No new updates.
I have some old business.
How old?
Not too
last
old.
meeting.
Well, we can talk about it during the minutes.
Okay, whatever you say.
All right. All right, minutes of March 14th. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes or what happened at the meeting?
I do. Thank
Mr.
you very
Talbot,
much. Thank
go
you.
right ahead.
Appreciate that. I have gotten many calls and requests regarding the Old Fall River Road marijuana proposal in front of the ZBA. I have been asked to go to this group and ask that we engage town council to approach the ZBA to either deliver an opinion and finalize that discussion.
So I think,
never finalized.
I think we should do that
Yeah,
tonight.
we did not agree to send a
Do
letter.
that
so-
tonight and get it
That's
done.
correct. And what will that letter say? And I'd like to.
Well, that's,
Get involved.
that's get,
Well,
I mean,
I-
well,
no,
the question is, if you want to send a letter, then you have to let us know what you want the letter to say. I mean, you want to say.
Well, I
that
know what I
this board
want to.
opposes the facility?
No.
This board wants.
No, my goal would be, to put it in technical terms, would be that the town council approaches ZBA to give his opinion on the legality of that process.
Yeah, he had made the comment that the request, the woman's request.
Would not pass muster.
Would not pass for hardship.
Right.
And so if you want to focus on that, that's.
Well, there might be more, it may be more than just hardship, yeah.
Yeah, and we need to nip it in the bud before
If
it gets
that's
out
the
of
case,
hand.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, then let's get,
We'll do that.
let's get town council involved.
Thank you.
Because I'll be honest with you, I watched.
Also look forward down the road that we could possibly meet with ZBA and have a discussion about this kind of issue, to get some input and some discussion, because I think it's needed.
Well, I mean, I agree to that to a point, but I'm a little bit concerned, I would be a little bit hesitant to get involved in other decisions to be made by the board. I would like to be informed as to what types of decisions are coming before them. But as far as, and I don't have a problem weighing in on an opinion, but to discuss with them, their role and what comes before them, I would have a little bit of a hard problem with that.
Well, maybe they could let them tell us that.
I don't have a problem in getting information.
And maybe they could use some help from the town to have more guidance in terms of some of their decision
Well,
making.
I mean, that board is made up of some very intelligent
Absolutely.
individuals.
Impressive.
And if they're looking for any kind of guidance from this board, they know where to reach us, that's for sure.
Well, the other thing is, we've met over the years with other boards. It's not a slap in the face, it's an informational type of thing. So to invite them to a meeting, a select board meeting.
They're very capable, and we don't want to make decisions for them. However, what can the town do to help them, if anything, to help the process work a little more efficiently? And they may say, no thanks, we're fine. That's okay.
Well, I know they get a lot of input from planning, from building, and from town council from time to time. So
The building inspector now goes to every meeting, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I was surprised, because I get some calls this week also. I was surprised they had not requested town council's help on this issue, because it sounds like they're
I think we
struggling.
all are.
Yeah, there was definitely some hesitancy from some of the board members regarding, issues.
Yeah.
But I think by providing, this board providing impetus to have town council involved, I think it'll probably greatly help them.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. We
All right.
need to vote on that?
No, I
The
think,
letter?
no, I saw him type it as you were saying.
I have no problem
It's
with
in
Mr.
red.
Gates. Thank you.
And yellow. And yellow.
Yellow,
So it's in
it's
yellow and red.
like a fire.
So so when you see something like that on that computer, you know he's got it down.
Thank you.
So now that you brought that up, you want to make a motion on the minutes?
I would like to, I'd like to approve the minutes of the meeting of March 14th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by donations. Is there an official announcement?
Yes, for Mr. Hickey.
Okay,
There it is, yeah.
from our illustrious Waterways member, Mr. Hickey. Chairman, is he the chair?
Yeah,
Yes.
chairman.
All
Yes,
right.
100%.
Way to go,
This is big.
Jerry.
This is big.
Forever.
All right. Chairman Gerald Hickey says that anybody wishing to make a donation in Warren Hathaway's name may do so by contacting the Dartmouth High sailing team at the Dartmouth High School Athletic Department at 555 Bakerville Road in Dartmouth, Massachusetts, 02748. If you wish to make a cash donation, which we strongly urge you do not, you can bring it directly to Dartmouth High School. They will give you a receipt. Of course, checks and money orders are gratefully
For
accepted.
clarification, this was the family's designation.
Correct.
In Warren's name, so.
Yes, very much so.
That's where it came from.
And for immediate lease, the water department has announced that they will be flushing water mains throughout the town, starting April 4th and through May 27th, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. The object is basically what we've been talked about, is to move water.
Exactly.
Flushing.
So that
Reed Road
we can
especially.
get rid of any junk that's in the pipes.
Exactly.
However,
Put it on
as
the
a
road,
result
yeah.
of the water main flushing, there may be times when the water that you put in will be discolored. It is only temporary. If you have any questions, you can run the water until it runs clear. Anybody who has any continually discolorations, please notify the DPW Water Department at 508-999-0742.
What was that number?
555. Oh, I'm sorry, 50, yeah, well, that's
Not Wyman.
That's for the cash donations.
Thank you.
508-999-0742.
You don't get the cash donation. do
No,
you?
no, no, no.
Well, not that we know of.
No. Okay. That being done, we have a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. Gracie. On the motion, any questions? Better not be. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None unanimous. Good night, everybody.
Excellent. Nice job.
You still have my new iPad?